Lieutenant Colonel Liu Peijiang, please head to the hibernation chamber immediately.
Right, they're up in the rockets. We got a problem on the moon.
In order to survive, great efforts and sacrifices were made by man, who eventually won the victory of evolution.
I am the most complete fighter in the world.
Yippee-ki-yay,
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Welcome to Dodge This Action Movies Unleashed, Season 3, Episode 4, The Wandering Earth 2. Yes, we are tackling the, admittedly, perhaps action-adjacent Chinese super blockbuster, The Wandering Earth 2, which is landing in the UK very soon, hence this timely tie-in. And I'm joined by another very special guest. This season, we're all about the guests, and this episode is no different. I'm joined by a man with 3 names, a man from a different country, a man with an enviable Plex server, a man who is an improviser and a real-life editor of film and television. His name, Ian Thomas Day. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here. Excited to talk about this movie.
That was a pretty big intro, wasn't it?
It's huge.
Well, I mean, you've got 3 names, so I've got to sort of, space it out accordingly.
Yeah, I like the 3-name cadence. I went for it. It's pretty pretentious. I'll admit it.
Ian, when you were in school, was the Thomas always active?
No, the Thomas is very much an addition to my adulthood. When I became a man.
It's latter day, if you will.
Yeah, latter day.
Day.
Well done.
Love that. My middle name's Jeffrey, so it doesn't feel quite as Simon Jeffrey feel. It just feels like a
it's all the cadence of the syllables, like the William H. Macy, the Philip Seymour Hoffman, Ian Thomas Day. That cadence is pleasant.
That's lovely, actually, isn't it? Yeah, that's. I feel like you've practiced that before. Yep. Yeah, for these exact conversations.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. Yeah. It just works.
It works for all of them.
Now, Ian Thomas Day, I know you from London, which is where you currently are. I in the olden days, I used to say I'm in Amsterdam and Matthew is in London, and I keep forgetting to sort of tell people where I and my guests are. I am currently still in Mumbai, very excitingly, and you, although birthed to Canada,
yes,
are
Calgary,
in London.
Canada. Yeah, I'm from Calgary, Canada, but now I reside in Leytonstone in London, the neighborhood of Alfred Hitchcock. So,
is that true?
Yeah, he was born in Leytonstone. So there's like mosaics of all of his movies at the tube station. So I'm really breathing it in here, Simon. I'm really like in the heart of cinema.
Right. Like when you get off at Baker Street, you're like, oh, I just feel like the detective in me is coming out because they put it on the tiles at the tube station.
There's got to be a murder I can solve somewhere around here. It's really kind of cool. There's like sort of an underground passageway to go like east or north or south. And on that passageway, the tiling is, Strangers on a Train. It's a big mosaic of a still from that movie or an art piece from that movie, and Vertigo. They're all there. So
that's very cool. It's a movie lover's paradise. Is that what drew you to Leytonstone in the first place?
No, affordability, connectivity, pretty much need to lock something down and start paying a mortgage instead of rent. That's what got me here.
But also like Hitchcock. I'm sure it's something that the estate agents at Foxtons drop in all the time. Right?
Yeah, they have a little speaker playing the Alfred Hitchcock Presents theme tune.
Transport links, close to the supermarket, and also a rich cultural movie heritage. So,
yeah.
Hey, delighted to have you here. I think in terms of sort of proximity to the movie industry, you might have the biggest claim of all our guests so far, given that you are a real film and TV editor. So you sort of, I feel like you're bringing a unique perspective.
Well, I mean, I have edited television. I have edited film. It's been a long time since I've dipped my toes in that world. It's mostly been advertising and branded content. But I do your past guest. Yeah, I know, right? Your past guest, Chris Gao, and I have worked on numerous films together, and I love doing that with him. But if your listeners are interested in knowing what I've edited, you can just Google Legend of a Warrior at NFB doc that I did in 2012.
That sounds like the sort of movie we would talk about on this show, but it's a documentary.
It's a documentary about kung fu master and his son.
I'm back on board.
Yeah, I mean, this Frank Lee from Edmonton, by way of Hong Kong, he trained numerous kickboxers. There's a guy named Billy Chow who fought Jet Li,
very famous,
in a movie.
Yep.
So I've met all those guys, and back in 2012 when we made this movie, he's one of the most interesting human beings that I've ever come across.
That is one of the best industry stories that have surfaced accidentally on this podcast. Second only to me finding out this week that erstwhile co-host Matthew Heighton met Scott Adkins and Jean-Claude Van Damme at an event.
Just this week?
Just literally this week.
Wow. Both of them.
They're in the same place.
I would not. I would hover around JCVD like a fruit fly. It would be. I would not be able to get away. You would overhear so many batshit things.
Well, that's that. That is the exact vibe that we need on this podcast. People with a love for Jean-Claude Van Damme, and people who've even heard of Scott Adkins fully get a pass. Now, you are quite a fan of, I would say, left field, off the beaten track movies, a lot of sort of indie stuff, a lot of quirky bits and pieces. I know I discovered a few movies through you in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I just like keep my eyes on, Twitter or the internet and like listen to what people are talking about and then immediately try to scoop those up. I saw Bottoms. Have you heard of Bottoms?
I have. That is on my list. Brackets Plex server.
Rachel Sennott and Io Debris. It's incredible.
It's good.
It's really good. It just happens in this weird heightened reality, but like is a perfect satire of high school and good send up of like women standing up for themselves, and it's great.
Love to hear that. What else have you been scoping? Anything else on the radar outside of Wandering Earth 2, which obviously has taken up probably most of your time over the last week?
I listened to other podcasts, I'll admit. And the Black Check podcast is going through all of David Fincher's movies.
Oh, yes. And he's, of course, got a newbie out right now, if I'm not mistaken,
yes.
Right? The Killer.
The Killer is in cinemas or coming to cinemas very soon. So I'm sort of gearing myself up for that. I just watched Girl with the Dragon Tattoo immediately after I watched Wandering Earth because I felt like I needed. Okay. I felt like I needed to
palate cleanser.
Just to understand something a little bit more clearly. Right. And so I watched that, and it's just like it's sort of reinforcing how perfect a run Fincher had from Social Network all the way to Gone Girl.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that is one of those. It's sort of one of those remakes where you're like, this is good, but the original is also really good. And I have seen both, and I don't remember a lot about Fincher's version, but I remember it being quite sort of faithful. I mean, I know it's a book, so I guess they're both faithful to that. But yeah, I don't know. It was like, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I mean, I have already sort of seen it in a way. It's I feel like that's such a dumb approach, but having seen the Swedish movie, it was like, well, I will watch this because it's Fincher, but I do sort of, this whole story is not going to surprise me.
I think it's one of those, I didn't see the Swedish version because I just didn't really clock it when it came out.
I'm very European. I don't know if you've heard.
I only watch American movies, but it was definitely one of those things, Old Boy, Infernal Affairs. It was like probably at the end of that era where American directors would just remake something that somebody very talented had already made. And in this instance, it was like, well, all right, okay, this is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, came out great. You do wonder the thought process, though, don't you, about sort of going, let's just remake it. It's the exact same. So at least with like The Departed, it felt like different settings. Sort of, it was, it hit the same beats, but it was very different.
Yeah, it was
movie.
Boston cops, and there was the Irish mob. Like there was a lot of elements. I saw that a couple times in the cinema. I would be interested to go back, and it's great, but I want to see how much it holds up. I remember like some of the not so subtle but metaphorical shots of just like there's a rat, and then they show a rat.
The rat was bad. The rat was a bad ending. Yeah, I don't think anyone was on board with that. Good name drop of Infernal Affairs as well, because that is a classic Hong Kong movie, of course, starring Andy Lau, who also appears in The Wandering Earth 2. Thanks for tying it together.
Thank you. No worries. I didn't realize.
I'm here to join the dots. That's all. I don't know if you've taken a look at this. I watched the first 2 episodes of The Continental, from the world of John Wick.
Yes.
And episodes are feature length. So the first 2 movies in the 3 TV movie series of The Continental
are an hour and a half.
190 to 100 minutes, I believe. Yeah.
We don't need that.
It's a big investment, isn't it? It's a big investment. I'm enjoying it, actually. I mean, I guess I'm 2/3 of the way through. Yeah, it is. It's in the world. So if you've enjoyed the 4 movie sort of world building that they've done, it pays homage to that. It's set in the 70s in New York, though. So it's sort of a prequel as to like how the Continental came to be run by Lovejoy, as you might not know him, but Ian McShane from Deadwood, but who all British people of a certain age know as Lovejoy. Yeah. It's got some fun action beats in it. It's it's an era specific setting, so it's very removed from the John Wick movies. I think by setting it in the 70s, they kind of already are like, well, things look different. It's a different vibe, yada, yada. So far enjoying it.
The big question is like, cause I found out this existed when I was on holiday like a month ago. I saw a big giant poster of it in Copenhagen, and the most prominent person on this giant poster is our good friend Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And so
he's back.
Yeah. It's sort of like I'm interested because I love the John Wick universe. I watched all the movies and I love it, but I don't want to watch the show and then my partner come in the room and see that I'm watching something with Mel Gibson in it, to be completely honest, because it's like, he's not a great guy. And
no,
can we get new guys? Like
we need new guys. Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Every movie is Timothée Chalamet.
I don't remember all of the reasons that Gibson was sort of evidently temporarily cancelled. There was some anti-Semitism in there, right?
There's a lot of it, and there was that. There was he was going to kill his wife. He's
going to kill his wife. Cool. Yeah. We need new guys. I mean, I was going to say in his defense, not in his defense, just as a statement of fact, having recently watched Expendables 2 and then this, he is good in things.
I'll still watch Lethal Weapon. I'll still watch Road Warrior.
I want to remove the art from the artist, which I suppose we have to. Evidently, he's been forgiven by Hollywood.
Every podcast must have this conversation at least once when discussing a movie in any regard.
Well, when we move on to Mein Kampf later, I think we'll really be able to tackle this.
You got to be able to separate it. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, let's move on from that. I also saw 2 movies of note. One called Leo, which is a massive Indian cinema movie. I just did a thumbs up, and because I've updated to the new iOS, every time I do a thumbs up, my webcam puts a little thumbs up in a bubble, which, do you know what? I bloody love. Really,
It's great.
Every few pods, I have to take a minor diversion and make this into the tech podcast that I wish I also hosted. And that's it. That's it for now. That's it. macOS Sonoma. You can do fun stuff with your camera and hand gestures. Anyway, I saw the movie Leo, which is a Tamil movie from the same director as Vikram and Katie. Technically, it's sort of an unofficial homage to the David Cronenberg movie, A History of Violence.
Oh, wow.
Which caught me off guard, but literally there's a title card at the beginning from the director that says, as so many of us, I was hugely inspired by A History of Violence, and this is my, pay-in to that. And then a man wrestles a hyena.
Okay.
I
missed that.
Yeah, that's where you need to sort of set your barometer going in. I enjoyed seeing it on the big screen. It's very ridiculous in the sort of Tamil blockbuster way that often these movies can be. Won't dwell on it too much. Another one that I did want to shout out, though, before we get into the meat of stuff, is a movie called Jericho Ridge, which is currently sort of doing the festival circuit, I think. It's by a British first-time director. It's shot in Kosovo, and it's about a US small-town sheriff's department.
Wow.
Already, there's a lot going on. It's
yeah.
One of those really good low-budget movies that's like contained location, characters, simple plot, well executed. It's your sort of baddies ganging up on a building. It's your sort of assault on Precinct 13.
A raid.
Much smaller.
Opposite raid.
Yeah. It's an opposite raid as we describe it. That's highly recommended. I believe it's currently sort of getting distribution and that sort of thing. So I think it'll start cropping up on places. But oddly, it's already streaming on some places in the US. If you have VPNs and are a nerd, you'll be able to watch it somehow. Highly recommended. Anyway.
It's great.
It's been quite a long intro, Ian.
No, I'm going to check that. I wrote everything down, Simon. Don't worry.
Thank God, because we don't have any record of it.
Yeah.
I'm not recording this. This is just a FaceTime call.
I might need the spelling on that Tamil movie, but other than that, we're fine.
Okay. It's Leo. Not even that hard.
Okay.
Would you like to watch some trailers?
Sure.
Okay, 3 trailers, as is the new rule. We've got a big hitter, we've got a little kind of indie creeper, and then we've got something from India, because, hey, I'm here, and there's a lot of big stuff coming out. Let's start with one of the biggest trailers that dropped in the last week. It is The Fall Guy, starring everyone's favorite
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. The Goz.
And as a Canadian, I must mention he's Canadian. So
he is Canadian. You got to claim him. If he comes up, you got to claim him.
Say it. Yeah.
So it's a what do you call it? Reimagining of the 1980s TV show, which I feel like you are probably old enough to remember, right?
No. I mean,
okay.
I didn't even know that it was a reimagining of a 80s TV show. Is it?
Yeah, starring Lee Majors as the titular stuntman with a very memorable theme tune.
I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
I knew about Hooper. The Burt Reynolds
sort of era,
stuntman. Yeah, right around there. So,
okay, well, that probably speaks to 90% of the audience for this movie not knowing it's based.
Hey, I'm happy to go
On
in.
an old TV show.
I like when I see Gosling doing comedy.
I felt like this is the good. It's Gosling. He's so ripped. He's shirts off in the trailer, and he's absolutely hench. He's like that sort of crazy, stupid love abs level Gosling, but he's beefy. He's beefy in this.
There's kind of a tease at the beginning of the trailer, like, and it's very prominent. Like, he zips up his little jumpsuit. I think they really emphasize the zip up because it's like at the beginning of the trailer. It's like, this is all you get to see for now.
Yeah. And then sure enough, later on in the trailer, you're like, oh, wow, he's huge. He's huge in this. But he is doing that persona, which, as you say, I'm a huge fan of. The sort of, I would call it the nice guys Gosling.
Yeah, for sure. This is Drive, but fun.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this, because he in Drive, he's a stuntman, and it's so brooding and dark. And it's a good movie in some regards. But on this one, he's just like, he's charming as hell.
I don't think anyone's getting their skull stamped in the Fall Guy.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he accidentally stopped somebody's head in, and then he's like charming Gosling, like, oh my God, what did I do? You know?
Right. Yeah. So this is directed by David Leitch, who has, he co-directed John Wick, so he gets a lifetime pass for that.
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde, which I like, and then some the Deadpools, some Deadpools was
2,
he?
I think Deadpool 2.
Or was Tim? He did Deadpool 2, which is the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
And then also Bullet Train recently, which I thought was fine.
I didn't see it. Unfortunately, it's just one of those movies that, like, it was advertised a lot, and I think I was just like, okay, they're on a train, I guess. But it's one of those movies that maybe I'll watch on Netflix, or
100%.
If I get it, like, it'll be like, I need something to watch, I'll just watch this Brad Pitt action movie. But
yeah, and it did have some good bits, and it did, he's connected to 1187 North, the sort of stunt team that did John Wick and Atomic Blonde and the action in Bullet Train. And it looks like there's going to be a little bit of that in this. It's tough to sort of, from the trailer, know how much it's leaning in the action direction, how much it's leaning in the sort of
comedy department,
fun rom-com, Gosling, Emily Blunt direction. So I think there is the potential for this to be very fun with Gos on top comedy Gosling form and some solid action. I'm ready.
You got Kick-Ass in there too. He's a pretty good comedic actor.
That's true. Yes.
What's that guy's
Taylor
name?
Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Also, Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso popping up.
Right.
Lovely.
She's in everything.
Well, I imagine sort of henceforth they all will be, right?
I think in the UK right now, there was a lot of hubbub on Twitter/X that I think they, like, 2 major UK corporations released their Christmas commercial this week, and she's in 2 of them.
Oh, wow. 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Fair play. That's how you know your star is burning bright, when you start cropping up in those like buy me a new house little 2 days work sort of vibes. You're like, yes, I've been working very hard for my entire career. Thank you.
This is my pension. Thank you.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, fair play. So yeah, Fall Guy, I'm hopeful for.
I'll see it.
Let's swing the pendulum right to the other side then, to Topak.
Triggered.
Yes, thank you. AKA Triggered, which I sort of had this trailer on a list for a while, and then last week was the Mumbai International Film Festival. And you know me, huge fan of movies. Did I see any of them? I didn't. I did not see any of them. It's very tough. But this was one of the movies that was showing, albeit at a quite late night screening, quite a long way away from where I live. So anyway, I'm making a lot of excuses. It's from the Philippines, and it looks bloody violent.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to see a person be half decapitated in a trailer. I'll just say
It
that
does-
much.
It's not even like the quote unquote red band trailer. It's just like
No.
you guys. This is the trailer. This is what you're in for.
What the hell's going on in the Philippines? That this is. I mean,
I know, right?
It's intense. There are like numerous bludgeonings, stabbings,
It is
a
brutal.
bone coming out of a hand. It's insane.
There's a bone coming out of a hand in the trailer.
Yeah.
They really set out the stall, I think, for what the movie is, though. In this trailer, like a lot of blood, a lot of brutality.
The title is just like, you triggered?
Right.
Triggered by violence?
No
Skip this one.
snowflakes allowed. Yeah. Yeah. It looks like it could be a sort of breakout movie for the Philippines. I'm trying to think, and I don't know if I've seen any movies from the Philippines, but I feel like every few years there's a breakout from one of the sort of East Asian countries in the action genre that sort of floats them up into everybody's periphery. You know, the Raid being the obvious one that kind of put Indonesia on everyone's map. But this feels like maybe this could be the one for the Philippines where we all go, oh, okay. Oh, you guys are not fucking around.
Well, I might see it if, on an empty stomach, really prepping myself.
Yeah, I hope we get to see it on a big screen somewhere, but otherwise I'm sure this will be snapped up by a digital distributor, because there's obviously an audience for this kind of thing. Also, I wrote this down because at some point during the trailer, somebody says, we're not dealing with some ordinary guy, or something along those lines. And I'm on board with almost every movie where that is the premise.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I watched a movie about just an ordinary guy. About Schmidt.
Right. Everything with Tom Hanks? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think in a Tom Hanks movie anyone's ever gone, we're not dealing with an ordinary guy. And then Tom Hanks just like snaps someone's arm. Although you'd love to see it.
He needs to pay his pension too, so we might see the dark side of Hanks.
The breakout role, the breakout action role we've all been waiting for. All right, one more trailer. Holy smokes, we've been going too long already. This one is about to drop, I think, this weekend, which is Diwali, a big Indian festival. So a big movie is accompanying it. It is Tiger 3, the sequel to Tiger 2 and Tiger. Actually, Tiger 2, I think, has a Hindi name that I don't know, but it's a big one. Have you seen any of the Tiger movies? B, any of the movies in the YGF cinematic universe? War, Pathan, or the other Tigers?
Gotta say no.
You gotta say it.
I gotta say,
keep it clean.
But this one, it is appealing. I need to figure out what Tiger's been up to, because the reveal of the baddie in this trailer is like, oh, this baddie is, he's resurfacing.
Yes.
In shadows up until the end.
I haven't seen Tiger 2, but I did recently watch the first Tiger movie, and I don't want to say pleasantly surprised, but it was not quite what I thought it was going in. It's quite a fun and quite, I would say, international leaning action movie. That is to say, it sort of has a very Bond vibe. It's like shot in lots of beautiful locations. There's some really big stunty set pieces. There's not too much sort of crazy like OTT Bollywood style action. It was made in whatever year that like parkour was really taken off, because there's a big parkour sequence at the beginning. So I'm going to watch the middle one before I see this. And also War, highly recommended. Pathan, also a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel guilty being the RRR. As
you should.
Because you see, everybody saw RRR and was like, that was so much fun. And then,
yes.
I haven't dove into what else might this cinematic world have to offer. But that's just because like RRR was easily accessible. I'll probably seek this out.
I went the other way and moved to Mumbai. So
okay, I'll look into flights.
My Netflix and Amazon Prime are slightly more stacked in favor of catching up with a lot of Indian classics. And, you know, culturally, it's just quite nice to just sort of get it a bit more, isn't it? But, you know, equally, RRR was an incredible launch pad for my sort of enthusiasm for exploring this enormous universe of movies.
Oh, it's incredible. And if for any reason I need to watch Tiger 3, it is the end shot of the trailer. He's jumping from above onto a helicopter, which I don't know how that's going to go for him. But, you know, because there's rotating blades and whatnot. So need to figure
Tiger
out.
4 is not promised. That's all I
Right.
know. Tiger 4 could be a prequel. We don't know how this one pans out. But yeah, it just looks bigger and better, more of the same. I'm excited to see this. I hope I can see it in the cinema. Anyway, Tiger 3, they literally say this time it's personal with no hint of irony in the trailer.
I love it. It's just, I mean, it's a slogan that I remember from my childhood. I'm 40.
Yeah.
It's new. It's new to you if you haven't seen it.
Hey, some people don't remember the Fall Guy. So you know what? There's a first time for everything.
For sure.
Ian.
Yeah.
Can you carve out a solid 3 hours in your schedule for me to accompany me into my home cinema / lounge and watch one of the highest grossing Chinese movies of all time?
I'll clear some things off my schedule and I'll see what I can do.
Let's head in to the feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Yes, we are talking about the Chinese mega smash hit blockbuster. Probably, you know how strict and anal and annoying I am about this. It's arguably not an action film. I didn't know that going in. It's action adjacent. It's got some very big things exploding and quite a lot of peril in it. But I would say it's more of a sort of sci-fi drama, thriller, CGI spectacular blockbuster. Is that too many words to describe it?
No, it's all of those things. It's all of those things.
It is 3 hours long, so there is enough time for it to be all of those things. Yeah.
There are action set pieces though. So I think it does fit in with the genre.
I think if you were like reading the listings for something and it had the title of the movie, say you were on a plane and it had underneath it like the genres of the movie, it definitely wouldn't say comedy. It probably wouldn't say romance, but it could say action / sci-fi / drama. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's action in there, but the action was quite near the beginning and I was like, okay, all right, here we go. And then there was quite a lot after the action that wasn't as much drones and exploding and woojing, kicking people. But we'll get to that.
And I can argue that beginning scene, it might be unnecessary. We'll get into it.
All right, before we do, Ian, I know you've listened to every single episode of the podcast prior to this one, so you'll know this
just finished.
Very
right
well
before we
now.
started recording, I just finished the entire library.
Whew, thank you for that. Then you'll know that I like to shirk the responsibility of summing up the plot to whoever is the guest. I mean, historically, Matthew, very good at this, but latterly I've been foisting it upon our guests, often without priming them for this. This one especially, I think, is quite a headful, if you will. So are you up for the challenge?
I'll do my best.
Please.
Okay, so we are a prequel to a movie called The Wandering Earth.
Good start.
I've not seen The Wandering Earth, so I'm assuming the Earth is wandering around. So in this movie, we figure out how did it get there. So we have two schools of thought of what to do while the Earth is in peril: the digital life movement and this the Moving Mountains project. And I think at the beginning of the movie we introduce that sort of conflict, but then we follow our main character Liu. So he's like this hotshot pilot. We see him sort of in the ruins of Libreville in Gabon. And then we flash back, I guess, to where the space elevator is. And he's training and he meets the love of his life. And there's a cute little montage of him falling in love with her in his mind. And then they go on training. And the digital life movement comes and just F's up their S. You know, they ruin everything.
Keep it PG.
And this is all to introduce a cool computer. The cool, what was the computer's name? The something 500 C? 500 CC.
2 or 5? 5 C.
It was C. It was C. And so there is an A version and then, so once all that's introduced, we go to the moon where we introduce the other thread of character. Zhao Ma is the older scientist, and then Heng Yu too.
Yes, played by Andy Lau.
Right. And this is the guy from Infernal Affairs. Yeah.
Correct. Hong Kong legend.
He is on the moon. They're testing out this engine. And the computer is integral to this whole thing. And he's programmed his daughter into the computer because there's a large backstory of his daughter dying in a car crash. And he has 2 minutes of her digitally. Okay, we are 20 minutes into the film.
No, you're doing great. This is great so far.
There's the thread of like, is a false reality even worth living? Because they could, I don't know. There's kind of a plot hole in the digital life movement that because their philosophy is that you could just upload your brain to the computer and then you can just live in a computer.
I think so, yeah.
But then if the Earth is destroyed, what happens to the computer?
Oh shit!
Yeah, so that's just what I thought. So tangent.
Okay.
So
It's
we're
meant to
on
be
the
just
moon.
it's pure plot, Ian. No opinions.
So we're on the moon, and then
We're on the
they
moon.
need to fire up the test, engine on the moon to see if we can make the moon move. And then so they use the new computer.
Have we even said what's happening to the Earth and what they're trying to do with it?
Oh, the Earth is the sun is exploding, or something. The sun is expanding, and it's like in 100 years, Earth's kaput. I thought that was evident.
Yeah, right. So they've decided to attach engines to the planet Earth.
The plan of the moving mountains is to put so many big giant engines, engines. All, like around the equator, just all dotted all over the planet to move the Earth, which is a cool sort of anime sci-fi concept. I like that. Like,
yes,
it's just so big that I think it's a lot to take in.
You have to sort of swallow it. It's a great sci-fi concept.
Yeah. And so like
they're on the moon.
The moon test works. And so they're like, rah, everything's cool. And then they get building engines all over the place.
There's so many engines.
And then, okay, so
yeah, they got to build engines on the moon because the Earth has to be moved out of the moon's gravitational pull, right? So that it has any chance of making it far enough away
from the solar
sun.
system.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, completely forgetting that the moon is integral to life on Earth. But that's fine.
Yeah. Again, you have to sort of swallow some things, right?
Yeah. I'm willing to take that in.
Yeah.
And then it's just sort of, I don't know what happens then.
There's a lot of countdowns, and then some shit goes down on the moon, right?
Yeah.
Then they have to reconnect the internet because for some reason there's no internet.
The computer guy uploads his daughter to the good new W computer because, like, after they move the moon, they realize, okay, we got to do moving mountains. So then we have a big montage, and all the engines are built, and we're all good, and the computers get integrally better, and then we're at the W series, and then our
we have
pilot
to say the word
guy,
AI, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's all AI, so it's like it's self-improving.
Like quantum
the AI
computing.
is like building shit on the moon without us having to help. It's like exponential growth, yada yada.
all the drones are controlled autonomously. So like people aren't building the engines, like drones are doing everything. And then we see the pilot having an interview to go to the like space station, the ISS, and he fails his like interview with the good computer. And so our guy with the daughter, he uploads his daughter to the good computer, and that sort of causes the moon engine to explode. And then they all start failing, and they all just blow up, and then the moon's orbit starts to reach the Roche limit. Ooh,
whatever that is.
Wikipedia.
I think it's
that.
bad.
It's bad. So it's basically the moon is crashing down onto Earth, and the solution is let's gather the nuclear stockpile of every nation on Earth, put them all on the crater on the moon, and implode the moon, and then we'll be free of it forever, and we can wander off into the solar system. Is that pretty much sums it up? Meanwhile, the pilot has a wife. The one that's the thing. The woman he meets at the beginning has a big romance for. She immediately starts dying.
Yeah.
And so she's dying, and he has a son, and I think the son is a very important part of the first movie.
Which I have to admit, I also have not seen. Apologies.
I have not. Yeah, I haven't either. But I did watch that 10-minute sort of recap about telling stories from a Chinese perspective, and it helped me sort of piece this movie together.
Yes.
Though it is a lot.
I'll link that below. That's a very interesting YouTube video from a channel I really enjoy called Accented Cinema, which is a Chinese guy who lives in North America, who makes movie commentary, not, what do you call them? Video essays.
Video essays.
Yes. And this happened to be one about how The Wandering Earth taps into sort of Chinese way of thinking and folklore and things that perhaps us coming to it from a Western perspective wouldn't be obvious on the sort of surface level.
Yeah, what I liked was the sort of home and family being a like sim concept in China, so that the land that you live on is just as revered as your ancestors. So the whole concept of the thing of like, we're not going to abandon Earth. We're not going to go in a spaceship and go away from it because it is as important as a family member. So you take it with you. And I like that.
That's all the time we have for the podcast. I think you've done a great job there. I will say that, but what you have highlighted is, I think that this is, there's a lot going on in this movie.
So much going on.
And it is unapologetically 3 hours long. And I had to approach it in chunks. I thought I would do it in 2 halves, but that was not to be. So I did this in a solid 3-act structure. I did it in 3 pieces. And yeah, there's just so much going on. It is, I suppose it's sort of like all good sci-fi, it deals with some quite weighty issues, but it also deals with them in we have got a lot of money and we have got a lot of CGI to demonstrate all of these ideas kind of way. Like, it's all there. Like, the movie looks like $1 million.
I'll say, like, the CG is so good. Like, once you've been to a dozen Marvel movies in a row and they just get progressively worse at CG, and this, like, I don't know if you saw Fast 10, you probably did.
You would think, but I haven't got to it yet because Fast 9 disappointed me so much.
I mean, yeah, Fast 10 won't do you any better. It's there are scenes in that movie that are just two people, like, they're just on a green screen with nothing, like, and so when you see something like this, the CG is phenomenal. But I'll say, like, and maybe it's a cultural thing, it's presented in a way that makes it seem like a corporate video.
Yeah, it's very, very clean, isn't it?
When they're transversing up the arc, it's very much like, or it's like anime. It's like showing you like this cool thing, but not from the character's perspective. Like, it's from a a god's eye wandering around it, and it's freaking cool when the space elevator like starts the shooting up with rockets, and then you see all of them like with drones flying around. It's cool, but it's just basically like, take a look at this cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, it is. It's really good, really solid CG throughout, I would say. There's not, I mean, I'm sure your mileage may vary. There might be a couple of little janky bits here and there, but by and large, it looks stunning. Like, just, it's got blockbuster sort of writ large across it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What was the budget on this movie?
The first one was 50 million US, apparently.
50?
Yeah.
And that's incredible, because just from that video essay, just seeing some of the CG in that, it's incredible. Like, seems like they're getting more for their money than an American blockbuster, like the latest Marvel movies that are 200, 250.
On IMDb, it says the estimated budget was $162 million.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty big jump. That's a pretty big jump from 50.
It's a huge jump.
For the first
I mean,
one.
it seemed like they had a hit with the first one. I think I do need to see the first one now, because this screams to me like original series to a prequel Star Wars, sort of like, we're going to put all the ideas in the prequels to make this world set up, where it's like, we didn't need to like set up everything. And in the first one, if somebody casually mentioned the moon crisis, we don't need to see an hour of the moon crisis. You know what I mean?
It's what's so interesting about this, and they really lean into it, is this sort of on-screen titles, of which there are probably 20 plus in the movie. Like, there's a countdown to every major incident in the movie, which I guess is, well, it's sort of by design, that you're like, oh, I wonder if the internet is going to explode, and then on screen it'll be like, it's 14 hours until the internet explodes, or 3 days until the Jupiter crisis, or
I did write that down in my notes of just like how frequent it was, like internet recovery in 4 hours, nuclear explosion in 3 hours. And it was like, for me, it's like, cool, then I won't worry. Like, I get that it's a prequel, and they're basically like, we know that this all turns out great. But I think you need to make your movie in the guise that, like, if you write this is going to be recovered, then I'm not worried about this guy drowning at the end of the movie.
That's true. Yeah, I did feel that when it's sort of, it's like, yeah, couple hours we'll be back on track. So just enjoy this bit of people being in peril or trapped underwater. Some people might die, don't worry about that. But by the end, we'll work it all out.
And it seemed like there was, especially with the nuclear bomb plan at the end, the putting all the nukes on the moon, there was like there's a way to cut out a half hour of the movie when like they put all the nukes on the moon, and then like, we can't get the codes for them. I guess they're all encrypted or something. Like, I think the watching audiences is going to be like, well, they can't just use all the nukes. They're all like coded and to every country, and that they had to break the code for all the nukes at once. And so they're like, oh, we have to sacrifice 500 old people. But that's a way to get them into the theme of this movie, of that the older generation must sacrifice to preserve the future generations.
Yes, that is sort of one of the things, isn't it? And that was also mentioned in that video essay about how we might not do it, but our kids might, or our kids' kids will do it, and eventually it'll be done. We'll win. We'll be successful.
Yeah.
We'll live. Somebody will live happily ever after, even if it isn't for several generations.
Yeah, it's very much a human history story that, despite the hardships of the past, here we are. But I feel like if they really leaned into that storyline, it wouldn't have just been tacked on at the end. It did really just feel like, because his relationship with the older pilot guy was the one that they were using to sell that, like the guy that taps him on the forehead.
Yes, no, the older Chinese guy.
Yeah, who, after the huge tragedy of the like space elevator, collapsing, and our main character Liu surviving due to despite astronomical hardship, fighting off 3 terrorists and meeting the love of his life while she punches out some guy with a astronaut or spacesuit punching glove.
Yes,
which was cool. But like he's
cool.
he's in the hospital sort of dejected, and his like good old friend comes up and just taps him on the forehead really aggressively instead of maybe hugging him.
Yeah. It feels like the filmmakers were like, we need a thing so that they can do it later in the movie, and it's kind of, it's them from a long time that's passed. But yeah, you're right. It was a bit aggressive.
But Simon, what did you think of this movie?
Whew. Where to start? I think, and I'm sure I've said this before, but a great way of illustrating your journey through this movie is the old classic total film predicted interest curve. Are you familiar with the magazine Total Film?
No. Please do enlighten me.
Well, it was a movie magazine that kicked off in the sort of, must have been the 90s. I was a subscriber to Empire magazine in my teens. Are you familiar with Empire magazine? Are you familiar with magazines as a concept?
These are books, but more floopy. Yes?
Yeah, they're sort of it's like a flatter book, I suppose. Like someone
Longer.
squished it out. Yeah.
Watch advertisements in it.
Yes. Well, if Empire magazine was the sort of watch advertisements of movie magazines, then Total Film was the cool stuff for young cool people adverts. Lynx Africa deodorant. Yeah, it was just sort of the plucky young upstart movie magazine. It was a little bit more, like a little bit more edgy, a bit cooler. I think they've probably both of them have kind of met in the middle, 20 years later. Anyway, they used to have alongside each review a little graph that kind of plotted on the x-axis the duration of the movie and the y-axis your interest. And so,
right.
You would just draw this up and down curve, and the points and the troughs would kind of be labeled with like fun ways of describing things that happened in the movie. And I think for me with this, it started sort of fairly high. I'm a big fan of, I like, big budget, big idea, blockbuster sci-fi. So I went in excited. Like, okay, they're not fucking around. They've got money. The CG looks great. Love Andy Lau. I love Wu Jing. I mainly love him when he's sort of kicking people in the face, which sadly doesn't do so much in this movie. But the big action scene that happens probably, I want to say maybe 30 minutes in, so much stuff going on in that. There's drones on Earth.
Fighter pilots.
But yeah, there's fighter pilots fighting off the drones. Meanwhile, in space, there's terrorists. That I wasn't expecting from this. I thought I was probably just going to be, people being in peril and, oh my God, we've only got a certain amount of time to do the thing before everything implodes. But they're actual baddies. For one scene at least, there were baddies. So there was people for Wu Jing to kick a couple of them. That was pretty good. That whole sequence, huge, just a huge scale, big blockbuster action sequence. I feel like I've said the word blockbuster too many times, but it just feels like the perfect way to describe so much about this movie, and then I don't know, maybe it kind of dropped down from there, from how much I enjoyed it, like a little bit, sort of then kind of plateaued out and then just kind of trucked along in the middle, then kind of popping up occasionally when there was some kind of fun, exciting stuff or some interesting bits, or like when the AI was kind of coming into it a bit, you're like, ooh, and Andy Lau with his computer chip daughter, you're sort of like, okay, well, at some point he's gonna probably have to make a decision, or at some point there's gonna be some kind of binary nightmare that can only be solved by a 7-year-old girl trapped in a machine. And And so, yeah, and then I think it just kind of occupied that space for the rest of the movie, really, where it went on inarguably too long.
Yeah.
I think most people could probably agree this movie could have half an hour shaved off it. So I did, my interest waned the longer it went.
I could easily cut an hour out of this, and there's like there's things like you talking about the daughter and the computer quite a bit, and I thought like, oh, this is so important to the Wandering Earth 1, like she's like a character, like she makes up the computer that is part of the whole Earth. But then at the end of the movie, the computer's like talking to our main guy, Liu. And it's like, the computer's like, call me Moss, Moss. And I was like, why did they just call it Yaya? And then like the computer and this a dead child has like symbiotic relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that felt like set up for the prequel / the sequel, right?
Yeah.
I felt like there were a few bits towards the end that were very much directed at people who'd watched the first one and needed the kind of, and that's how the AI came to be a bit of a pickle, if you remember. Whereas in this one, I suppose, yeah, I feel slightly guilty having not seen the first one, because then I guess maybe you're going into this one knowing that the AI is a bit naughty at times, perhaps, in the first movie, which happens after this. Whereas in this one, there's basically like a post-credits sequence that just sort of like rug pulls a whole bunch of stuff from the movie in a kind of like, way, which I don't know. How did you feel about that? I felt a bit sort of cheated by it.
Wait, what happens? What remind me what happens in the post-credits?
Well, it kind of suggests that, I guess this is a spoiler, just in case I don't think it's going to affect your enjoyment of the movie, but nice to flag it. It sort of says, oh, it turns out, but the AI was responsible for some of the disaster style stuff that happened earlier in the movie.
The crises.
Yeah, that was attributed to maybe terrorists or other people, but it was actually the pesky AI was like, I need to eradicate some people to save the Earth or whatever.
I don't think I watched the post-credits scene now that you mentioned it.
It was quite far into the credits, and I was like, should I text Ian and say, make sure you stick around?
Gonna have to watch that when we jump off and see if it clears anything up.
Yeah, I don't know if it does. Yeah.
If you have a 3.5 hour movie, do not expect me to stick around for a post-credits.
I am running to the bathroom like my life depends on it, even though I've watched it at home and I could have paused it at any time. It's a personal challenge to me. Yeah, so that was interesting. That felt to me like, oh, if I'd seen The Wandering Earth, maybe I would have had more of a kind of revelatory or just more of a response to it. Whereas I was kind of like, what? Hang on a minute. So that was, okay, that's a lot of information. Whereas if you know the AI is pesky, then it doesn't come as a surprise, I suppose. And you're like, oh, well, I thought the AI was pesky. Oh, wait a minute.
I feel like the tone of a lot of things that were happening in the movie were like, oh, you remember this guy, or do you remember this thing? As a like paying service to the original, in a way that it's sort of like a language that it's picked up from Marvel, the cinematic universe because Marvel is ripe with that sort of thing. So it's just become ingrained. And because those movies did so well in China, that maybe it's filtered its way into this. They're trying to make a Wandering Earth cinematic universe.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few sort of storytelling tropes that can be cribbed from those Hollywood blockbusters for sure. I think this is something I read, and again, having not seen the first one, I can't keep repeating how I haven't seen the first one, but apologies. There is one of the actors from the first movie died, and then he appears briefly in this movie in a kind of deep faked scene.
Do you know which one?
No, he plays like somebody's dad. He's an old man, thankfully, I don't remember thinking at any point in the movie, that guy's face looks slightly unrealistic. So again, kudos to the CG artists.
Right.
It's somebody's dad, presumably.
Yeah.
So much guesswork.
It's a lot.
Should have just watched it. I should have just watched it. I feel like such an arsehole.
We haven't even touched on the special relationship that China and Russia shares in this movie.
Gosh, there is I mean, on the one hand, it's a nice parable about the world coming together to solve a planetary crisis, right? It's like,
it's a lot of flags.
if we all just put our differences aside, we could stop oil or global warming.
It is there is that sort of thing.
But because this is a Chinese movie, it's Russia who plays quite a big role in being friends with them. And that is quite interesting to sort of deal with that currently, isn't it? In the current state of the world where Russia are very much the baddies to our eyes. It's interesting to see them playing such a large part.
It's like our perspective is like, oh, that's a weird relationship, but it's like, no, that's most of the people on the planet. It's like we are like less than like there's way more people in China than there are in the West. So it's like it's interesting to see things from that perspective. And they had like flags represented from Brazil and France and a lot of different places, but there never did you see the Stars and Stripes in this movie.
True.
And I think it's deliberate.
I was like, not a lot of British people, not a lot of American people.
There's Canada features briefly.
Ryan Gosling pops up there for a second with his shirt off.
Yeah.
I note that it does very well to have so many nations represented. But it does a thing that I see a lot in Indian cinema where you're in India and you want someone to play a British person or an American person, and there's like just not really enough good British or American actors. So you just sort of get someone white and go, can you do an accent that's sort of passable? And in this movie, I feel like China perhaps has the same problem.
Squid Game.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. The guy's watching Squid Game.
Yeah. The level of acting by the like American or British people in this movie is just, it's really, really hard to digest. And it's so over the top. It's
tough.
Like when
tough.
the American guy's like, the countdown is coming. We need to think of another option. And it's like, is this an anime character? It's crazy.
It is a lot, isn't it? And oddly, I just noticed the one British voice that you could sort of hear was just like some random bloke from Sheffield or something. I don't know why. I feel like movies like this always have, I am a British person and I'm wearing my bowler hat and blah, blah, blah. But it's all quite refreshing just to hear a bloke be like, right, they're up in the rockets. We got a problem on the moon. It was so random. But also, I'm sure that was the same for the French accents and the sort of Brazilian but they did a very good job at cutting to random cities around the world at different times and sort of illustrating the global nature of the problem or the impending doom.
I'll tell you, I would have liked this cinematic universe and sort of this like climate change allegory a little bit more if the peril was maybe man-made rather than just, the sun's decided to die. If it was everybody sort of banding together because we really screwed up over here, guys, that might have sold it a little bit for me.
Possibly too on the nose for modern storytelling.
Yeah. What would you give it out of 5 stars?
Well, my first question to you is, Ian, are you on Letterboxd?
Yes, I am. But I don't use it as often as I should.
Yeah, okay. That old chestnut. Out of 5, this is it. I think occasionally it's a 4, and occasionally it's a 3. So I think I probably I would probably land on 3.5. And I actually don't think I've rated this on Letterboxd yet. So that's a hot scoop for the listeners that it's probably a 3.5, but maybe I'm even yeah, I mean, I was never not entertained. So 3 feels maybe not enough given how expansive it is, how, I like Andy Lau. I sort of do prefer it when Wu Jing kicks people in the face. I think I've said that several times already. So, okay, that's where I'm coming down. I'm coming down on 3.5, which means I ask you the same question.
I'm a 3. If I saw the first one, it might be pushed up a bit, so maybe that's unfair. But like my watching of it was definitely like, this is long. And I think the last 3.5 hour movie I watched was Killers of the Flower Moon. And that was too long, but it was still compelling right up until the end. I think this, like, we introduce 2 characters and they never really have moments together. Like, they're not talking to each other. They're just going through the same things together. And then we leave them. And then we introduce 2 more characters with that we have to get into a lot of backstory about the guy's car crash. And so it's like there is in the end of the day, like, you need compelling characters to propel you to the end of a movie. And I think this movie is stuff happening to characters rather than characters living through stuff.
Fair, yes. There is a lot of propulsion. I will say that. A lot of things are being propelled. I think, and this, I think a lot of people will approach this having not seen the first one. So I think while I feel guilty as a movie fan for not having seen the first one, I think judging it as a standalone movie is sort of fair. Also worth noting that this movie is China's submission to the Oscars next year for Best International Feature. So it sort of will, I guess, well, it'll drop in everyone's streaming app who has access to the Oscars voting system, for one. They might not all have seen the first one. And also it's just out on streaming in the UK as of the end of the month. And I think there is also, just to read the press release, there is a limited edition 4K Ultra HD Steelbook from the 11th of December. So that's just in time for the old Santa's stocking, isn't it?
Boom.
Now, before you go, we have I feel like we haven't really talked too much about the action, because there's really only one big action sequence. And maybe I'm doing it a disservice, because there's that whole sort of reattaching the internet, and there's flooding, and they're quite far underwater. That's quite a good sequence as well.
There's a robot dog.
There is a robot. I cannot believe we are almost at the end of the podcast, and we're only just mentioning the robot dog. That would sell so many people on the movie. We should have mentioned it up top. Underused, I would say, the robot dog.
Yeah, give me a whole movie of the robot dog. It had emotion, it had like, I was worried that the robot dog was not going to make it. And I don't know, I can't remember if he did or not.
There's also those sort of robots that are just a pair of legs. They're sort of very versatile. They do all kinds of stuff.
Customs checkpoint gates, which are very versatile robots.
They can do so much. All right, before this podcast is as long as this movie in real time, let's do an action replay moment. Ian.
Yo.
I've served you a bit of a tricky one here, because I would say this is probably the least action-packed movie so far, maybe ever on the podcast, but certainly this season. Wow. So there's slim pickings on the action replay moments, but I noticed that you have written down actual notes on a piece of paper, which inspires me with confidence that you're going to come up with a doozy here.
Well, that opening scene the opening space elevator scene is great for an action set piece. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, so the just the image of the big space elevator, and you're like, this thing's coming down, because we had the scene previous the scene previous is our characters in the same place, desolate wasteland. So you're like, I'm excited to see this thing crash to the earth. So that was I really like that. And just like the cliched, like the Russian guy flying the plane and he comes, like, I think when he enters the fray, he's like, Daddy's back. Great line.
It's like an Arnie line from nowhere.
Yeah. So you have like the internal pod, like martial arts or fight between the terrorists and our leads. You have a space elevator falling to Earth, and you have a fighter pilots fighting drones. So it's like a real Return of the Jedi sort of big action set piece. So
yeah, there's a lot going on. You gotta, whatever it is, I think you're plucking it from that, right? I would have loved if you'd come with a wild card of Robot Dog swims underwater.
yeah.
But in terms of it being an action replay moment, I'm not sure that technically counts. I would obviously have to pick something from that big set piece. And while Wu Jing does sort of duff up a couple of people, they don't really lean into this is a martial arts fight in this. It's more a general audience's Marvel style, if you will, action scene.
Yeah, it's in zero grav.
Yes, but there is a couple of bits where the gravity goes funky, which I can't remember the exact bit, and I wish I'd written it down. But I do recall having a moment of like, oh, yes, very nice, very nice. And I think that's the worst description of an action replay moment I've ever done on the podcast. Absolutely the vaguest bullet points.
when she smashes through the unbreakable glass with the fire extinguisher, I think she smashes through, and then she has the big like power glove.
Yeah.
The power glove punch was satisfying.
The Nintendo power glove. That is definitely an action replay moment. All right, that's pretty solid, I would say. I think this, I would, to sum up, an enjoyable watch, but there's every chance you're going to find it drags. But I think if you like these sort of enormous scope sci-fi movies, there's a lot to enjoy in this one.
Sci-fi is hard to find these days, I think. Like true, pure, this is a sci-fi film.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's not couched in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're not going to find it. Like Christopher Nolan might make another one, but it's tough to find. So this is high concept, like big CG. They've got cool spaceships. I mean, the pods that are flying down to the moon base itself, it's cool. So I just like, I'm going through and I'm rewatching like the original Star Trek right now, kind of slowly. But I do like to see people making big epic sci-fi. So if you like that sort of thing and you watch Star Trek, this is gonna tick some of those boxes.
Yeah. And just to qualify that statement, because I think if you like Star Trek, a lot of people will immediately be like, well, this isn't for me. But I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Star Trek, but I do like, much like yourself, high concept, big budget sci-fi.
Let me send you 3 or 4 episodes that will completely change your mind, man.
Do you know about the Tribbles?
Simon, have you seen Picard at his best?
Yeah, I just need you to start with the original series. I just need you to work. I'll send you 7 to 26 episodes of that. Then we'll do a few TNGs, and that's going to give you the sort of grounding you need to approach Picard, which really, it's season 3 is next level. I honestly, I won't hear a word against it.
So yeah, you've heard this all before.
Actually, Matthew is a big fan. So if people want to roast me for being cliched in my view of Star Trek, that is absolutely fine. I haven't watched it for a very long time, but I grew up with TNG, like the
Inner Light. All anybody needs to watch of TNG is The Inner Light. That's the greatest episode of Star Trek that exists. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. Well, on that note, Ian, people cannot find you on Letterboxd because you have a secret private OnlyFans profile, evidently.
I do have a letterbox. I don't use it often enough, so let me just check. Let me look up my name on there.
Okay. It's always, I feel like that is always the vote of confidence when people have to look up their username on any platform. And then it's like, oh God, I'm not even logged in. I don't know the password. Forget it. Forget about it. How can we find you on there?
ENT Day, all one word.
Love it.
Mostly I'll be just commenting on former guests Chris Gow's reviews and criticizing him.
Perfect. And if people want to see you live in the flesh, they can come and see you and Chris at the Free Association in London doing bloody great improv a lot.
Yeah, we're doing shows all the time, starting in February. Every third Thursday, we're going to be doing our St. Doctor's Hospital improv show. You can find me on Twitter, Chet_friendly. Don't ask why that's my name on Twitter. It's just something that existed for almost 20 years now, and it follows me around to this day.
We all had to pick a username, and we didn't know how big Twitter was going to be.
It was good. It's so important to your identity.
And now you're just Chet friendly for life. Or until Twitter crumbles.
Fingers crossed.
Can we find you on Threads?
I'm on Threads.
Also Chet friendly?
Yep.
Love to see it. Ian Thomas Day, it rolls off the tongue. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for giving up so much of your precious time to watch The Wandering Earth 2 for us. Listener, if you want to find myself, Simon Fielder, on the internet, I'm just everywhere. It's too much. I'm still on Twitter. I'm on Threads, not as much. I'm on Instagram. I'm Simon Fielder everywhere. I'm simonfielder.com, the website. It's got links to all that stuff. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, it's Dodge This Pod. That's quite fun if you want to get really nerdy on the action stuff. Love some suggestions always. If you love the podcast so much that you would like to be a part of it financially, you can click a little button down the bottom and donate real Earth cash to the cause. Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for more Action Movies Unleashed. Thanks once again to Ian Thomas Day. I've been Simon Fielder. Good. Bye! Like a sort of AI robot.
Start the engines.